Hello everyone and welcome to Tuition Tonight. In our previous video, we learned what OpenShift is and why organizations like banks, companies, healthcare providers, and large enterprises use it. But today's question is even more interesting. Imagine you open your banking application and click the login button. What happened behind the scene? How does your request travel through OpenShift? How does OpenShift know where your application is running? How does it select the correct server? How does it return the response back to your mobile application? Today, we are going to answer all these questions by understanding the complete OpenShift architecture in a simple and practical way. By the end of this video, you will understand how the control plane, worker nodes, pods, services, and routes all work together to run enterprise applications. So without wasting any time, let's get started. Today we will learn OpenShift step by step. First, we will understand that an OpenShift cluster is. Then we will look at the overall architecture and identify its main components. After that, we will explore the control plane, which acts as a brain of the cluster. Next, we will see how worker node actually runs our application. We will then understand the difference between servers and routes. Finally, we will follow a real banking request from the user's browser all the way to the backend application and back again. Let's begin with the foundation. Before we understand OpenShift architecture, we first need to understand the term cluster. A cluster is simply a group of computers working together as one system. Instead of relying on a single server, OpenShift combines multiple servers into one logical platform. Think of it like a university. The university has many departments, but students experience it as one institution. Similarly, an OpenShift cluster may contain multiple servers, but users interact with it as a single platform. Inside every cluster, there are two main categories of machine. The first category is called the control plane. These machines are responsible for managing the entire cluster. The second category is called worker nodes. These machines actually run the application. In addition to these, OpenShift also provides networking, security, and role-based access control so application can communicate securely and user have the correct permissions. Now look at the complete architecture. Imagine a customer open a website hosted on OpenShift. The request first reaches the cluster. Inside the cluster, the control plane is responsible for making decisions. It does not execute the application itself. Instead, it decides where the application should run. The actual application runs inside worker nodes. These worker nodes contain pods, and each pod contains one or more application container. Networking components such as services and routes ensures that traffic reaches the correct application. The separation of responsibilities is what makes OpenShift reliable, scalable, and highly available. So now the talk of the discussion is control plane, the brain of a cluster. So what is control plane? The control plane is often called the brain of OpenShift. Let's understand why. The first component is the API server. Whenever an application administrator uses the OpenShift web console or run an OC command, that request first reaches the API server. Next is the scheduler. Suppose you deploy a new application. The scheduler decides which worker node has enough CPU and memory to run that application. Then we have the controller manager. Its job is to ensure the cluster always remains in its desired state. If a pod crashes unexpectedly, the controller manager automatically creates another pod to replace it. Finally, we have etcd. Think of etcd as the database of the cluster. It stores configuration, information, node details, pods, secrets, config maps, and much more. Without etcd, the cluster would not know its current state. Now, we have to discuss what worker node is, and now let's move on to the worker nodes. These are the machines where your actual application run. Every Java application, a Spring Boot application, Node.js application, Python services, or microservice eventually runs on a worker node. Each worker node contains a component called kubelet. The kubelet continuously communicates with the control plane and ensures everything is running correctly. OpenShift uses CRI-O as the container runtime. CRI-O is responsible for starting and stopping containers. Applications themselves don't run directly on the worker nodes. Instead, they run inside the pods. A pod is the smallest deployable unit in OpenShift and Kubernetes. Normally, each pod contains one application container. If a pod fails, OpenShift automatically creates a replacement. This is one of the reasons OpenShift is highly reliable. One common question begins ask is, what is the difference between a service and a route? Let's make it simple, very simple. Pods are temporary. If a pod is recreated, its IP address can change. Instead of communicating directly with pods, applications communicate through services. A service provides a stable network identity for one or more pods. Now, services work only inside the cluster. If users on the internet need to access your application, OpenShift uses the route. The route exposes a service using a public URL. So remember that service is equals to internal communication and the route is equals to the external communication. This distinction is important and appears frequently in OpenShift interviews. So the difference should be understood properly. Now we have to discuss the request flow. This is the most important slide of today's lesson. Let's understand it using a banking application. Let's suppose a customer open a mobile banking application and click the login button. The request first travel over the internet to the organization's load balancer. The load balancer forwards it to the OpenShift router. The router examines the request URL and determines the route should handle it. The route forwards the request to the appropriate server. The service then selects one of the available pods. Inside the pod, the application processes the request. Then, the application may communicate with Kafka to exchange messages or connect to a database to verify the user's credential. Once processing is completed, the response travels back through the same path and is displayed to the customer. All of these steps happen in just a few milliseconds, making the experience feel almost instant. Now let's see why large organizations prefer OpenShift. First, and one of the most important thing of OpenShift is auto-scaling. When traffic increases, OpenShift can automatically start additional pods. Second, self-healing. Self-healing means if an application crashes, OpenShift automatically restarts it without requiring manual intervention. Third is the rolling updates. Rolling updates means organization can deploy new version of application with little to no downtime. And finally, security. OpenShift includes features such as role-based access control, that is called RBAC, security context constraint, that is SCC, and secure communication by default. These capabilities make OpenShift a trusted platform for enterprise environments. So finally, we have reached towards the end, and congratulations, you have now learned the core architecture of OpenShift. Let's quickly recap. The control plane manages the cluster. Worker node run applications. Pod hosts the application containers. Service enable internal communication. Routes exposes application to external user. OpenShift adds enterprises features like auto-scaling, self-healing, rolling updates, and strong security. Now, here is a quick quiz for you. There are some questions appearing on your screen. Which component stores the cluster state? The second question is, what is the difference between a service and a route? And third is, which component decides where a pod should run? Pause the video and try to answer before checking the explanation. If you found this lesson helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Tuition Tonight. In this video, we have learned the entire architecture of OpenShift. So in the next video, we will learn how to deploy your first application on OpenShift and understand the deployments, replica sets, and pods in practice. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next lesson. Thank you so much.